61st Discourse. It was in the schoolhouse, on the 20th of Rajab, AH 546, that the Sheikh, may Allah be well pleased with him, said, after some discussion and in response to a question someone put to him about notions, Qadir. How to explain to you what notions are? Your notions come from the devil, shaitanal, natural impulses, tab, the passions, hawa, and this world. Your interest or concern, ham, is whatever is most important to you, ahamaka. Your notions correspond in kind to your interest while it is active. A notion, Qadir, inspired by the Lord of Truth, Almighty and glorious is He, comes only to the heart, free from anything apart from Him. As He has said, Allah forbid that we should seize anyone except him with whom we found our property. 12-79. If Allah Almighty and glorious is He, and His remembrance, your heart will certainly be filled with His nearness, and the notions suggested by the devil, the passions in this world will all avoid your company. There is a kind of notion belonging to this world, and a notion belonging to the hereafter. There is a notion belonging to the angels, a notion belonging to the lower self, nafs, and a notion belonging to the heart. There is also a notion belonging to the Lord of Truth, Almighty and glorious as He. It is therefore necessary for you, O truthful one, Sadiq, to get rid of all those other notions and to rely on the notion of the Lord of Truth, Almighty and glorious is He. If you reject the notion of the lower self, the notion of the passions, the devil's notion and the notion of this world, the notion of the hereafter will come to you. Then you will receive the angel's notion, then finally the notion of the Lord of Truth, Almighty and glorious as He. This is the ultimate stage. When your heart is sound, it will pause to ask each notion as it arises, what kind of notion are you? From what source do you come? So they will tell him in turn, I am the notion of such and such. I am a true notion from the truth, Qadir Haq Min al Haq. I am a loving counselor, the Lord of Truth, Almighty and glorious as He, loves you, so I love you too. I am the ambassador, Saphir. You're your portion of the spiritual state, Hal, of prophethood, Nubuwa. O young man, you must devote your attention to real knowledge, Ma'rifa, of Allah, Almighty and glorious as He, for it is the root of all that is good. If you are constant in obedience to Him, He will grant you real knowledge of Himself. This is why the Prophet, Allah bless him and give him peace, has said, when the servant obeys his Lord, Almighty and glorious as He grants him real knowledge of Himself. Even if he then ceases to obey Him, He will not deprive him of it. Rather will He let it remain in his heart, so that He may bring it in evidence against him on the day of resurrection, when He will say to him, I honored you with real knowledge of me, and I granted it to you as a privilege. Say, why did you not put into practice what you learned? O young man, nothing will fall into your hand from the Lord of Truth, Almighty and glorious is He, because of your hypocrisy, nifaq, your smooth talk and your eloquence, making your face look pale, stitching patches on your tattered cloak, hunching your shoulders and pretending to weep. All that stuff comes from your lower self, nafs, your devil, your idolatrous attitude, shirk, to creatures and trying to gain worldly advantage from them. After some discussion, the Sheikh, may Allah be well pleased with him, went on to say, you must look down on your lower self, nafs, and exercise restraint. Keep this up until you are told, speak about the blessings of your Lord. The son of Simeon, Shaman, may the mercy of Allah be upon him, used to say, whenever he received a charismatic gift, karama. This is a deception. This is from the devil, Shaitan. He kept on doing this until he was told, who are you, and who is your father? Speak about our blessings upon you. Moses, peace be upon him, said to his Lord, Almighty and glorious is He, in the course of his intimate conversation, munajat, with Him, O my Lord, advise me. So he said in reply, I advise you to trust in me and to seek me. This exchange was repeated 4 times, with the same request being made and the same reply being given each time. The Lord did not tell him to seek this world, nor to seek the hereafter. It was as if He were telling him, I advise you to obey me and give up disobeying me. I advise you to seek my nearness. I advise you to affirm my unity, Tawhid, and to work for my sake. I advise you to turn away from everything apart from me. When the heart is sound and really knows, Arafa, the Lord of truth, almighty and glorious is he, it refuses to acknowledge any other. It finds intimate friendship with him and feels estranged from all others. It feels at ease in his company and uncomfortable with anyone besides him. O Allah, bear witness for me that I am doing my utmost in delivering exhortations, Mava is, to your servants, making every effort for the sake of their well-being. I am detached from everything I am involved in. I keep myself separate from it, just as the rest of you separate yourselves from it as far as the inner content, mana, and the innermost being, sir, are concerned. There is no mark of honor for me, if I happen to be together with him in some aspect of his management, tadbir, and operations, tasarif. O you hermits and recluses, come here and get a taste of my words, be it only a single letter. Spend a day or a week in my company, and maybe you will learn something that will bring you benefit. The majority of you are governed by a delusion within a delusion, worshipping creatures in your cells, Sawami. This business is not something that comes about merely through sitting in secluded places, Kalawat, with ignorance for company. Woe unto you, you must walk forth in search of knowledge, ILM, and scholars who put their knowledge into practice, Ulama Umul, until you can walk no farther. You must keep walking until your legs will no longer obey you. Then, when you have no strength left, you may sit down. Travel with your outer, Zahir, then with your heart and your inner content, Mana. When you are utterly exhausted both outwardly and inwardly, Batinan, and have to stop, nearness to Allah, almighty and glorious is he, and attainment to him will come to you. When the footsteps of your heart come to a halt, and all your energies have gone into the journey toward him, this is the sign of your nearness to him. So at this point you must surrender, Salim, and cast yourself down in submission, Istatra. He will either build you a cell in the earth and lodge you in the desert wastes, or else he will send you back to civilization, putting this world and the hereafter, jinn, human beings, angels and spirits, Arwa, at your service. When a servant has truly achieved nearness to his Lord, he receives saintship, wilaya, and deputyship, niyaba, and all the contents of the treasure houses are laid out before him. The earth and the heavens and all that they contain will intercede on his behalf, because of his regal status and because of the purity, Safa, of his inner batin, and his secret being, Sir, and the radiant light of his heart. Your Islam and your faith, Iman, must not be merely borrowed imitations. To make sure of this you need to be constant in your fear of displeasing your Lord, your fasting, Psalm, your prayers, Salawat, and your sleepless vigil. This is why the people of the Lord have sometimes gone wandering in the wilderness, joining up with wild animals and competing with them for the herbs, Hasha-ish, of the earth and the water of the creeks, while the sun became their awning and their lamps were the moon and the planets, Kawakib. You must give up most of your frivolous talk and gossip and wasting money. Do not spend too much time in the company of neighbors, friends and acquaintances without good reason, for this is foolish. Most of what passes between two people is telling lies and backbiting, giba, and it takes two to stage a sinful revolt. None of you should go out of the house except to attend to your own essential interests or those of your family. Do make the effort not to be the first to speak, but rather let your words be a response to someone who asks you about something, provided there is some mutual benefit to be gained by responding to him, otherwise you should not answer his question. The people of the Lord are afraid of their Lord, almighty and glorious is he, under all circumstances. They give that which they give with hearts afraid. 23-60. They are afraid of being caught unawares. They are afraid that their faith, Iman, may be a borrowed imitation. A few individuals, Ahad Afrid, amongst them receive from Allah his gracious favors and his blessings, so their hearts enter the door of his nearness. They are permitted to enter into his presence. He befriends them and takes care of them. He causes them to be included among his saints, Aliyah, the deputies, Abdul, of his prophets, Anbiya, and the leaders, Ayan, of his creatures. He causes them to be numbered among the sheikhs, Shuyuk, and sultans, Salatin, of his servants. He appoints them as his delegates, Yastanabuam, on the earth and as his representatives, Yastklifium, upon it. He makes them some of the few he has singled out, Mafradan. He teaches them from his knowledge, Ilm, makes them speak by his decree, Hukm, generously bestows his grace, Karama, upon them, assists them with his support, Imdad, makes them aware of what is to their credit and what they owe, puts faith, Iman, on a firm footing within their hearts, and sets the crown of real experience, Marifa, upon the head of their faith. Destiny Qadir serves them, while human beings, the jinn and the angels are standing at the ready in their presence. Their hearts and their innermost beings, Asrar, receive the seals of authority, Tawaki. Each one of them is a king within himself, occupying the seat of the throne of his kingdom, dispatching his army into the land for the welfare of the people, to counter the work of Iblis. O my people, follow in the footsteps of the people of the Lord. Do not let your main concern be with food and drink, clothes, sex and the amassing of worldly goods. Your main concern should be worshipful service, abada, and giving up old habits, ada. Seek his door and pitch your tent beside it. Do not run away from the door of the Lord of truth, almighty and glorious is he, on account of adversities, for he uses trials and tribulations, sicknesses and ailments, to alert you to look for him and never to leave his door. Do not be counted among those who fumble about, not knowing what the Lord of truth, almighty and glorious is he, wants from them. Worship him, and then become sincerely devoted, Akhlasu, to his worshipful service. Surely you must have heard him, how he has said, and I created the jinn and humankind only that they might worship me. 52, 56. You realize this and know it to be true, so why do you abandon his worshipful service and stumble about on the path toward him? Anyone who does not serve Allah, almighty and glorious as he, must be one of those who do not know why they have been created. As for those who are based on a footing of recognizing the truth, tahqiq, and being realistic, haqiqa, they acknowledge that they have been created for worshipful service, and that they will die and then be brought back to life, so they put servitude, ubudiyah, into actual effect. O young man! There are certain inner matters, umur batina, that come to be disclosed only after one has attained to the Lord of truth, almighty and glorious is he, stood at his door, and met the specially selected individuals, Mifradin, and delegates, Nuwab, who are there at their posts. When you attain to the Lord of truth, almighty and glorious is he, and stand waiting with good manners and with head bowed in silence, the door will be opened in front of your heart. It will be drawn in by the one who draws it in. It will be brought near by the one who brings it near. It will be lulled to sleep by the one who lulls it to sleep. It will be prepared for marriage by the one who prepares it for marriage. It will be anointed by the one who anoints it. It will be adorned by the one who adorns it. It will be delighted by the one who delights it. It will be kept safe by the one who keeps it safe. It will be conversed with by the one who converses with it, and talked to by the one who talks to it. O you who are heedless of bliss, Naim, where are you? Your hearts are so far from the state of affairs I am hinting at. You imagine this to be such a simple matter that it can come about for you through artificial pretense, tasanu, affected simulation, takaluf, and hypocrisy, nifaq. In fact, it requires honesty, sidq, and patient endurance of the hammer blows of destiny, Qadir. If you are a rich and healthy person, engaged in disobedience to the Lord of truth, almighty and glorious is He, but you turn in repentance from all your sins and errors, both those that are obvious and those that are concealed, and you go off into the deserts and the wastelands and seek the countenance of Allah, almighty and glorious is He, you will have to experience being put to the test. You will have to experience trials and tribulations. Your lower self, nafs, will demand the worldly goods and the well-being to which it has been accustomed, but you must not agree to let it have what it wants. If it can exercise patience, you will obtain the dominion of both this world and the hereafter, but if it does not exercise patience, all this will pass it by. O penitent, you must be steadfast and sincere. You must decide, together with your lower self, to let things turn around and let the trials and tribulations come. You must decide together with it that the Lord of truth, almighty and glorious as He, is going to keep it awake all night and make it go thirsty all day, that He will drive a wedge between it and your family, neighbors, friends and acquaintances, that He will sow hatred of it in their hearts, and that none of them will approach it or come near it. Surely you must have heard the story of Job, Ayub, peace he upon him, when Allah, almighty and glorious as He, wished to love him and choose him for His own, and that no one but he should be left with any share in him, how He separated him from his goods, his family, his children and his companions, and made him live in a shack on top of a garbage dump, away from civilization. None of his family stayed with him except for his wife, who worked as a servant for people and brought him his food. Then He took away his flesh and his skin and his strength, and left him with only his hearing, his sight and his heart, in which He showed the wonders of His power, Qudra. So he used to remember Him with his tongue and would converse with Him intimately, Unahihi, with his heart. He would behold the wonders of His power with his sight, while his spirit, Ra, came and went in his physical frame. The angels, Malaika, would pray for him, Tusalli alayhi, and come to visit him. He was cut off from humankind, ins, while intimate friendship, UNS, was connected with him. Material means and force and energies were cut off from him, while he remained the prisoner of his love, his destiny, Qadir, his power, Qudra, his will, Irada, and his foreordination, Sabika. His state of affairs was a mystery, sir. Then in the end it came to be public knowledge. The first part was bitter, but the second became sweet. Life became pleasant for him in the midst of his misfortune, just as life became pleasant for Ibrahim, peace be upon him, in the midst of his fiery furnace. The people of the Lord are accustomed to exercising patience in the face of misfortune, and they do not get upset by the kind of disturbance that bothers you. Trials and tribulations are of various types. Some of them affect the physical constitution, while others affect the heart. Some of them are experienced in relation to creatures and others in relation to the Creator. There is no good in a person who has never had to suffer. Trials and tribulations are the grappling hooks of the Lord of truth, almighty and glorious is He. The eager longing of the abstinent worshipper, Abid Zahid, for charismatic gifts, karamat, in this world and for the gardens of paradise, in the hereafter. The eager longing of the knower, Arif, is for his faith, Iman, to remain intact in this world, and for salvation, Khalis, from the fire of Allah, almighty and glorious as He, in the hereafter. His eager longing and desire for this will not cease until his heart is told, "What is this?" Be confident and steadfast. Faith is firmly established in you. From you the believers, mu'minin, can obtain a light for their own faith, and tomorrow you will be a successful intercessor, Mashafa, whose word is accepted. You will be the cause of salvation from the fire of hell for many people. You will be in the presence of your Prophet, he who is the chief of the intercessors, Sayyid Ash-Shafi'an. This is not something you need to be concerned about. Here we have a sealed declaration, Tachi, to the effect that he is permanently assured of faith, Iman, knowledge, Marifa, and safety, Salama, in the afterlife, Akiba, and of walking in the company of the prophets, Nabiyan, the messengers, Mursalin, and the champions of the truth, Siddiqun, they who are the elite. Kawas, among creatures, every time this assurance is reiterated to him, he becomes more fearful, more careful to behave properly, and more grateful than ever. The people of the Lord have grasped the meaning of his words, almighty and glorious is he. He does whatever he will. 253. He shall not be questioned as to what he does, but they shall be questioned. 21-23. But you will not, unless Allah wills, the Lord of the worlds. 81-29. They have understood that he is doer of what he wishes. 11. 107. Not of what creatures wish, and that every day he is about some awesome business. 55. 29. Advancing and deferring, promoting and demoting, honoring and disgracing, dismissing and appointing, causing to die and bringing to life, enriching and impoverishing, giving and withholding. The hearts of the people of the Lord have no fixed condition in relation to Allah. Almighty and glorious is he, for he changes them and alters them, brings them near and sets them at a distance, honors them and puts them to shame, gives to them and withholds from them. Spiritual states all are always changing for the people of the Lord, while their basic attitude is the actual practice taqiq, of servitude, ubudiyah, good behavior and respectful silence. O Allah, grant us the grace of good behavior in your company and in the company of your special favorites, kawas, among your creatures. Do not afflict us with dependence on material means, asbab, and reliance thereon. Make us secure in our affirmation of your oneness, tawhid, our absolute trust, tawakkul, in you, our total satisfaction with you and reliance on you for all our needs. Do not put us to the test in our words and our deeds, and do not take us to task because of them. Treat us with your generous kindness, your tolerance tajawuz, your forgiveness musamaha. Ameen. On the path of truth, Tariq al-Haq, there are no creatures khalq. On it there are no material means sabad. On it there is no known quantity malam. On it there is no direction and no entrance gate. On it the creation has no existence, wujud. The physical constitution binya goes together with this world. The heart galb goes together with the hereafter, and the innermost being sir goes together with the master mala. The innermost being should have authority over the heart. The heart should have authority over the tranquil self, nafs mutmaina. The tranquil self should have authority over the physical constitution, and the limbs and organs, jawara, should have authority over created things. When the servant has all this in the right and proper order, jinn and human beings and angels will come to be beneath his feet. They will all have to stand while he is seated on the throne of nearness to the Lord. O hypocrite, you will never achieve this through your hypocrisy, nifaq, and pretense to sanu. You cultivate your personal dignity, namus. You cultivate your acceptance in the hearts of creatures. You cultivate the kissing of your hand. You are bad luck for yourself in this world and the hereafter, as well as for those you cultivate and whom you persuade to follow you. You are an impostor, mura'in, a charlatan, dajjal, a swindler of people's property. Surely no prayer, dawah, of yours will be answered, and there can be no place for you in the hearts of the champions of truth, Siddiqun. Allah has let you go knowingly astray. Once the dust has cleared away, you will see whether that is a horse underneath you, or a donkey. Once the dust has cleared, you will see the men of the Lord of Truth, almighty and glorious is he, riding fine horses and camels, while you are behind them on a broken donkey, failing into the clutches of corrupt Satans, Shayatin, and devils, Abalisa. You must work hard to ensure that your hearts are not locked out of the door of his nearness. Be sensible. You are getting nowhere. You must seek the company of a sheikh who is learned in the law, hukam, and knowledge ilm, of Allah almighty and glorious is he, and who will show you the way toward him. Without seeing the successful mufla, one cannot succeed. If a person does not seek the company of scholars who put their knowledge into practice, ulama amal, he is a chicken from an egg abandoned by the rooster and the mother hen. Seek the fellowship of those who enjoy fellowship with the Lord of truth, almighty and glorious is he. What each one of you should do, when the night has grown dark, and people have gone to bed and their voices are silent, is get up, take an ablution, yadawada, perform 2 cycles of ritual prayer, usali rakatan, and say, O my Lord, guide me to one of your righteous servants near to you, so that he may guide me toward you and make me familiar with your path. The instrument, sabab, is necessary. Allah, almighty and glorious as he, was quite capable of guiding his servants, to him without the prophets, anbiya. Be sensible. You are getting nowhere. You must awaken from your heedless folly. As the Prophet, Allah bless him and give him peace, has said, if someone relies entirely on his own subjective judgment, he will go astray. Try to find someone who will be a mirror for the face of your religion, din, just as you look in the mirror to check the appearance of your outer face, your turban and your hair. Be sensible. What is this crazy foolishness? You say, I don't need anyone to teach me, and yet the Prophet, Allah bless him and give him peace, has said, the believer is the believer's mirror. When the believer's faith is sound, he comes to be a mirror for all creatures. They behold their religious faces, wuju adyanayam, reflected in the mirror of his speech, every time they see him and get close to him. What is this craziness? Not a moment goes by without your begging Allah, almighty and glorious is he, to provide you with more than you already have to eat, to drink and to wear, with more sexual opportunities and more income. These are not things that could increase or decrease, even if you were to be joined in your plea by every supplicant whose prayers are answered, Dain Mujab. Supplication, dawa, will neither increase one's sustenance by so much as an atom, nor reduce it by an atom. This is a foregone conclusion, mafra minhu. You must devote your attention to doing what you have been commanded to do, and to avoiding what you have been forbidden to do. You should not worry about that which is bound to come your way, because he guarantees that it will come to you. Allotted shares, axim, arrive at their appointed times, whether they be sweet or bitter, whether you like them or dislike them. The people of the Lord attain to a condition in which they no longer have any prayer of supplication, dua, or request, su'al, to make. They do not beg, in their prayers, to gain advantages, nor to get rid of disadvantages. Their supplication comes to be a matter concerning their hearts, sometimes for their own sake and sometimes for the sake of all creatures, so they utter the prayer of supplication without conscious premeditation. Fi gaiba. O Allah, endow us with good behavior in your company under all circumstances. When the believer's faith is sound, fasting, psalm, prayer, salat, remembrance, dhikr, and all acts of obedience taught become second nature to him, mingled with his flesh and blood. Then he receives protection from Allah, almighty and glorious is he, under all circumstances. The restraint of the law, HUKM, does not desert him, not for an instant, while he is on this course. The law comes to be like the vessel in which he sits, as he travels over the ocean of the power, Kudra, of his Lord, almighty and glorious is he. He goes on traveling over it until he arrives at the shore of the hereafter, at the shore of the ocean of grace and the hand of nearness. Thus he is sometimes in the company of creatures and at certain times in the company of the Creator. His work and toil are with creatures, while his relaxation is with the Creator. Woe unto you, O hypocrite, you do not have a clue about this. Woe unto you, none of this enters into your concerns. O you who sit there in your hermit cells, Sawami, while creatures fill your hearts, can you not hear me shouting at you and calling out to you? Are you deaf and dumb? Get up and come here. It's all right. I shall not deal with you or speak to you in accordance with your own bad manners and behavior. No, I shall treat you kindly, with the gentle kindness, RIFQ, of Allah, almighty and glorious is he, with his permission. You must not be put off by the roughness of my way of speaking, for that is not because of me. I only utter what he makes me utter. O young man, the people of the Lord work day and night in the worshipful service of the Lord of truth, almighty and glorious is he, and their attitude is one of fear and caution, for they are afraid of a bad outcome. They were ignorant of the foreknowledge, ilm, of Allah, almighty and glorious is he, about them and the outcome of their business, so they spent their days and nights in sorrow and sadness and weeping. As well as faithfully performing the prayer, salat, the fast, siyam, the pilgrimage, hajj, and all other acts of obedience, they remembered their Lord, almighty and glorious is he, with their hearts and their tongues, so when they reached the hereafter they entered the garden of paradise and saw the face of the Lord of truth, almighty and glorious is he, and his generous favor toward them. They praised him in gratitude for this, and said, Praise be to Allah who has put grief away from us. 35-34. Allah, almighty and glorious is he, has servants, ibad, and these are their teachers, asatida, their sheikhs, their chiefs, their leaders and their kings. They say, Praise be to Allah who has put grief away from us, in this world before the hereafter. When their hearts have reached the door of their Lord, almighty and glorious is he, they are surprised to find it open, with escorts arrayed to meet them, a select hand standing at the ready, expecting their arrival, saluting them and bowing before them in respectful silence. Thus they enter the palace of nearness to the Lord and witness that which no eye has ever seen, which no ear has ever heard of, and which has never occurred to any human heart. They say, Praise be to Allah who has put away from us the grief of remoteness, the grief of separation. Praise be to Allah, for not having made us preoccupied with this world, the hereafter and creatures. Praise be to Allah who has chosen us for himself, selected us for his nearness arid, put away from us the grief of withdrawal from him, the grief of preoccupation with anything other than him. Praise be to Allah who has granted us the blessing of withdrawal toward him. Our Lord is indeed forgiving, bountiful. 35-34. O young man, when you have firmly established your faith, Iman, you will reach the abode of experience, Marifa, then the valley of knowledge, Ilm, then the valley of extinction, Fana, to you and to all creatures. Then you will come to existence, Wujud, through him, not through you and not through them. At this stage your grief will disappear, for preservation will serve you, protection will surround you, helpful guidance, Tawfiq, will stand respectfully before you, the angels will walk around you, the spirits, Arwa, will come forward to salute you, and the Lord of truth, almighty and glorious as he, will proudly display you to his creatures. His attentive glances will watch over you and draw you toward the abode of his nearness and intimate friendship, uns, and conversation, munajat, with him. A failure is he who holds back from me with no good excuse. Woe unto you! You try to compete with me in this station, Makam, of mine in which I am installed. You cannot do it. You will get nothing by trying to compete with me. This is something that is sent down from heaven to the earth. As Allah, almighty and glorious as he, has said. And not there is, but with us are the stores thereof, and we send it down only in a known measure. 15:21. The rain comes down out of the sky onto the earth, from which the plants then sprout. This business comes down from heaven to the ground of hearts, so they tremble and sprout with every kind of goodness. They bring forth mysteries, Azrar, the elements of wisdom, Hikam, the affirmation of divine unity, Tawhid, absolute trust, Tawakkul, intimate conversation and nearness to Allah, almighty and glorious as he. This heart comes to have within it various kinds of trees and fruits. It comes to have within it wastelands and desert regions, oceans and rivers and mountains. It comes to be the gathering place of human beings, jinn, angels and spirits, arwa. This is something beyond mental comprehension, sheer power, kudramata, and will, irada, and knowledge, ilm. Allah, almighty and glorious as he, appropriates it exclusively to himself, and it is available to a very few individuals among all his creatures. You must try hard to fall into the net of my words. My sitting and talking is a net into which I am waiting for one of you to fall. As for the bait, it belongs to the Lord of truth, almighty and glorious is he. It is not my bait. Respond to me, so that Allah may have mercy upon you. Follow me, so that I may carry you to the door of the Lord of truth, almighty and glorious is he. Honesty, Sidq, is the herald of the Lord of truth, almighty and glorious is he. While lying, Kidhb, is the herald of the devil. The truth, haq, is one thing and falsehood, batil, is something else. Both of them are clearly apparent to every believer, mu'min, who sees by the light of his faith, iman. You claim to possess a keen intelligence, O people of Iraq, yet you cannot distinguish the honest person from the liar, the truthful from the false. The harmful influence of your rejecting the truth will come back to haunt you, but I am not bothered about that. The seeker, murid, of the Lord of truth, almighty and glorious as he, is not wishing for his garden of paradise, nor is he afraid of his fire of hell. No, he wishes only for his countenance. He hopes to be near to him and dreads being distant from him. As for you, you are the prisoner of the devil, shaitan, the passions, hawa, the lower self, nafs, this world and the desires of the flesh, shahawat. But you do not have a clue. Your heart is in shackles and you do not have a clue. O Allah, deliver him from his captivity, and deliver us. Ameen. You must practice strict observance, azima, and avoid special concessions, raksha. When a person always takes advantage of special concessions and gives up strict observance, it is to be feared that he is risking the total loss of his religion, din. Strict observance is for grown men, because it is the serious course, the harder and tougher one, while the way of concession is for youngsters and women, since it is the easier course. O young man, you must take your place in the front row, because it is the row of courageous men, Rijal Shujan, and stay away from the back row because it is the row of cowards. You must put this lower self, nafs, to work and make it get used to strict observance, for it should carry whatever you want it to carry. Do not spare the rod, for it is liable to fall asleep and let its burdens drop. Do not show it the white of your teeth and the white of your eyes. It is a bad servant, reluctant to do any work unless it gets the stick. Do not allow it to eat its fill, unless you know for sure that having a full belly will not make it turn mischievous, and that it will work in exchange for having its appetite satisfied. Sufyan Ath-Thari, may the mercy of Allah be upon him, was given to much work of pious obedience, ta'ah, and also to much eating. When he had eaten his fill, he would coin the analogy, give the slave, zanji, as much as he can eat, and make him work flat out. The slave is just a donkey. Then he would set about his worshipful service, abada, and take a plentiful helping of that. A certain righteous man is reported as having said, I saw Sufyan Ath-Thari eating so much that I was disgusted at him. Then he prayed, salat, and wept so much that I felt compassion for him. You should not try to emulate Sufyan's capacity for all that eating, but do follow his example where his great capacity for worshipful obedience is concerned. For you are not Sufyan. Do not satisfy your lower self as he used to satisfy his, for you are not in control of it as he was in control of his lower self. You must make a serious effort to keep well away from things that are unlawful, haram, and to be sparing in your use of those that are lawful, halal. Abstain from everything in accordance with the strength of your faith, iman, and your conviction, akan. Then you will become one of the servants of Allah, almighty and glorious as he. When your abstinence is confirmed, he will bestow his gifts and blessings upon you, either through indirect means or by putting creative power, taqwan, at the disposal of your heart. There is nothing worth discussing until you become one of the servants of Allah, almighty and glorious as he. Not a servant of creatures and material means, asbab. Not one of those who are slaves to this world, to pleasures, desires and devils, nor one of those who are slaves to the love of prestige, jah, in the eyes of creatures and attachment to their favor and disfavor, their praise and their blame. This is something of which no good can come. Your heart will not take one single step toward the door of the Lord of truth, almighty and glorious as He, as long as you are stuck with your lower self, nafs, in the house of your natural inclinations, tab, and your passions, hawa. It seems to me that you are permanently attached to creatures and material means. How long will this go on? You must learn from me how to escape from your attachments. O ignorant one, how can your heart see the Lord of truth, almighty and glorious as He, when it is full of creatures? How can you see the door of the congregational mosque, Jamie, while you are sitting there at home? When you go out of your house, away from your wife and children, that is when you will see the door of the mosque. When you leave everything behind you, to your successors, then you will see. So it is that as long as you are stuck with creatures you cannot see the Creator. As long as you are stuck with this world you cannot see the hereafter. As long as you are stuck with the hereafter you cannot see the Lord of both this world and the hereafter. When you move away from everything, your innermost being, sir, will meet your Lord, almighty and glorious as He, not in terms of outer form, surah, but rather in terms of inner content, mana. The work is for our hearts, while the inner contents, ma'ani, are for our innermost beings, sir. The people of the Lord have turned away from their works, amal. They have forgotten all their good deeds, hasanat, seeking no recompense for them, so He has surely lodged them in the secure abode of His abundant favor, where toil touches them not and no weariness can affect them, nor any cessation or weakness, and where there is no having to earn a livelihood and provide sustenance. According to one of the commentators, Mufassirun, on the Quran, the meaning of his words, exalted as He, where toil does not touch us, 35-35, is that there we are free from concern over bread and how to come by it, and having to make provision for our dependents. The garden of paradise is total abundance, total goodness, total comfort, giving without counting the cost. Everything revolves around the fact that your heart is in the presence of Allah. There is no cause and effect connection with this world, the hereafter or any of His creatures. Your heart can be truly present to Allah, almighty and glorious as He, only after death and the real experience, tahqiq, of remembering it. If you look, you are looking at death. If you hear, you are hearing death. The remembrance of death in reality, haqiqa, is experienced through complete wakefulness. You must detest every carnal desire, shahwa, and resist every pleasure. Remember death, for you have no way of escaping it. When the heart is truly sound, it forgets everything apart from the Lord of truth, almighty and glorious as He. He is the one who exists from all eternity, Al-Qadim, the one who exists to all eternity, Al-Azali, the enduring, Ad-Daim, the everlasting, Al-Abadi, and everything apart from Him is but newly created, Madaith. When the heart is truly sound, the speech that issues from it will come to be correct and true, so that no one can refute it. Heart will speak to heart, innermost being, sir, to innermost being, private refuge kalwa, to private refuge, inner content mana, to inner content, essence love, to essence, conscience sawab, to conscience. At this stage, therefore, the word be for other hearts like seeds that sprout in good soft earth, not salty marshland. When the heart is truly sound, it becomes a tree with branches, leaves and fruit. It comes to contain benefits for all creatures, whether they be humans or jinn or angels. When there is no soundness in the heart, it is like the hearts of animals, an outer form with no inner content, a vessel with nothing to fill it, a tree without fruit, a cage without a bird, a house with no one living in it, a treasure chest holding a store of dirhams, silver coins, dinars, gold coins, and jewels but with no one to distribute them, a body without a spirit, ruh. Like those bodies that were transmuted into stones because they had form but no content. The heart that rejects Allah, almighty and glorious is He, disbelieving, kafir, in Him, is subject to metamorphosis, mamsuk. This is why Allah, almighty and glorious is He, has likened it to a stone, for He has said, "Then your hearts were hardened, even after that, and became like rocks or even harder still." 2:74. When the children of Israel failed to put the Torah into practice, Allah Almighty and glorious is He transmuted their hearts into stones and banished them from His door. The same could happen to you, O Muhammadans, Ya Muhammadian. If you do not put the Quran into practice and do not master its laws, Ahkam, He may transmute your hearts and banish them from His door. Do not be among those whom Allah, Almighty and glorious as He, has allowed to go knowingly astray. If you acquire knowledge for the sake of creatures, you will work for the sake of creatures, and if you acquire knowledge for the sake of Allah, Almighty and glorious as He, you will work for His sake. If you acquire knowledge for the sake of this world, you will work for the sake of this world, and if you acquire knowledge for the sake of the hereafter, you will work for the sake of the hereafter. The branches are based upon the roots. As you pay allegiance, so shall allegiance be paid to you, Tadanu Tudanu. Every pot exudes its own contents. You till your pot with naphtha, naft, and then expect it to exude rose water. You are unworthy of respect. You work for the sake of creatures, yet you wish to have the Creator on your side tomorrow, at the resurrection, to enjoy nearness to Him and to look upon Him. You are unworthy of respect. This is the obvious and most probable scenario. But if He grants you His gifts purely as a gracious favor, not for any work you have done, that is up to Him. Worshipful obedience, is the work of the garden of paradise, while sinful disobedience, is the work of the fire of hell. After that, the matter is up to Him. If He so wills, He may reward one of us without reference to work, or He may chastise one of us without reference to work. This is all up to Him, doer of whatever He wishes. 11:107. He shall not be questioned as to what He does, but they shall be questioned. 21:23. Even if He were to send one of the prophets, Anbiya, and the righteous, Salihin, into the fire of hell, He would be just Adil, and that would be the telling argument. It is incumbent upon us to say, the Commander has told the truth, Sadaqal Amir, and it is not for us to say, why and how could this possibly happen? Even if it had some basis in justice and right, such a thing could never be, and He would never do anything of the kind. Listen to me and try to grasp what I have to say, for I am the humble servant, Ghulam, of those who have gone on before us. I stand in their presence. I spread out their wares and invite people to examine them. I never cheat in the process, and do not pretend that they are my own property. I begin by quoting what they have said, then I go over it from my own point of view. Blessed grace, Barakah, comes from Allah, Almighty and glorious as He, and Allah, Almighty and glorious as He, has bestowed many blessings upon me, such as my obedience to the Messenger, Allah bless him and give him peace, and my filial piety, toward my father and my mother. May Allah, Almighty and glorious as He, have mercy upon them both. My father abstained from the pleasures of this world, although he had the power to enjoy them, while my mother went along with him in this and approved of what he did. They were among the people of righteousness, salah, religious devotion, dhyana, and compassion for all creatures, but my real concern is not with them, nor with other people. I have come to the bearer of the message, Ar Rasul, and the sender of the message, Al Mursal, and because of them I prosper. Every benefit and blessing of mine is with them and in their presence. Among creatures I wish for no one apart from Muhammad, Allah bless him and give him peace, and among lords for none but my Lord, Almighty and glorious is He. O learned one, your speech comes from your tongue, not from your heart, from your outer form and not from your inner content, mana. The true heart shies away from words that issue from the tongue instead of from the heart, for they sound like a bird in a cage, or like the hypocrite in the mosque, masjid. If one of the champions of truth, Sadiqun, should find himself by accident at a session, majlis, held by one of the hypocritical scholars, his whole aspiration would be to get out of there. The people of the Lord can detect the signs that mark the pretenders, Maran, the hypocrites, Munafiqun, the impostors, Dajjalin, the heretical innovators, Mubtadian. The enemies of Allah, Almighty and glorious is He, and the enemies of His Messenger. These signs are apparent in their faces and in their way of speaking. They flee from the champions of truth as they might flee from a lion, fearful of being scorched by the fire of their hearts. The angels take them away from the champions of truth and the righteous, Salihun. One of them may be great in the eyes of the common folk, Awam. But in the eyes of the champions of truth, he is of no account. To the common folk he is a human being, Adami. But to the champions of truth he is a cat, Sinor. He carries no weight with them. The champion of truth, Sadiq, sees by the light of Allah, Almighty and glorious is He. Not by the light of his own two eyes, nor by the light of the sun and the moon. This is the general light of Allah, but He also has a special light given to Him by Allah, Almighty and glorious is He. This light comes after mastery of the law, Ikam al-Hukm, and proficiency in it. In other words, He has put the book and the Sunnah into practice, so He is given the light of knowledge, Nur al-Ilm. O Allah, grant us the blessings of Your forbearance, Hilm, Your knowledge, Ilm, and Your nearness. Ameen. May Allah not grant you His blessing, O hypocrites, for all too often your whole preoccupation is with cultivating your relations with creatures and sabotaging your relations with the Lord of truth, Almighty and glorious is He. O Allah, give me authority over their heads, so that I may purge the earth of them. The sign of the hypocrite's hypocrisy, Nifaq al-Munafiq, in this day and age is that he will not enter my presence and will not salute me if he happens to meet me, for to do so would be an unnatural affectation on his part. This religion, Din, has perished, its walls have come tumbling down. O Allah, provide me with helpers, Awan, to build it up. It cannot be built by your hands, O hypocrites. You are unworthy and unfit for the task. How can you do any building, when you possess neither the craft of the builder nor his tools? O ignorant ones, you must build up the walls of your own religion, and only then attend to the structures of other people. If you treat me as your enemy, I shall treat you as enemies on behalf of Allah, Almighty and glorious is He, and His Messenger, because I count on their support. Do not go beyond the bounds, for Allah has the upper hand in His affairs. 12:21. The brothers of Joseph, peace be upon him, tried to kill him, but they were unable to do it. How could they have done it, when he was a king in the sight of Allah, Almighty and glorious is He, one of His prophets, Nabiyan min Anbiya'ihi, and one of His champions of the truth, Siddiqan min Siddiqihi, for whom it was preordained that the people should receive benefits at His hands. It is the same with you, O hypocrites of this day and age. You would like to destroy me, but you are fit for nothing and your hands are incapable of doing such a deed. Were it not for the rule of law, Hukm, I would pick you off one by one. The rule of law is the fundamental consideration, whether one is operating in the sphere of the law or in the sphere of knowledge. The people of the Lord are not afraid of creatures, because they are next to the safekeeping of Allah, Almighty and glorious is He, His care and His protection. They do not worry about their enemies, because they will soon be seeing them with their hands and feet amputated and their tongues cut out. They realize and know for a fact that creatures are feeble and incompetent, with no destructive power, hulk, or dominion, mulk, at their disposal, no power to enrich or to impoverish, no power to cause harm or bring benefit. As far as they, the people of the Lord, are concerned, there is no king except Allah, Almighty and glorious is He, no one possessing power or strength apart from Him, no giver and no withholder, no one harmful or beneficial apart from Him, no one who gives life and causes death apart from Him. They enjoy relief from the burden of idolatry, shirk. They are in a state of having been chosen and selected, of enjoying intimate friendship, UNS, with Allah, Almighty and glorious is He, and relaxation in His company. Delighting in His refreshing atmosphere, Ra, His gentle kindness, Lut, and His confidential conversation, Munajat, they do not care whether this world exists or does not exist, whether the hereafter exists or does not exist, whether good and evil exist or do not exist. At the first stage of their career, they had to make efforts to practice abstinence from this world, creatures and the desires of the flesh, shahawat. Then, when they had made this their regular practice, Allah, almighty and glorious is He, turned their effort-making into a natural inclination, tab, and talent, mafiba, abstinence became second nature. You must learn from them. Make the effort to practice acts of worshipful obedience, taught, and give up acts of sinful disobedience, ma'asi, and reprehensible behavior, munkarat, then effort-making will become a natural inclination. You must try to understand the words of your Lord, almighty and glorious is He. Put them into practice and be sincere in your actions. O young man, you are nothing but lower self, nafs, natural inclination, tab, and passion, hawa. You spend time in the company of strange women and boys, then you say, I am not interested in them. You are lying. Neither sacred law, shar, nor reason, aql, will agree with you. You are adding fire to fire, firewood to firewood, so the house of your religion, din, and your faith, iman, will surely be set ablaze. Disapproval of this by the sacred law is universally applicable, with no one being exempt from it. You must acquire faith, experience, marifa, of Allah, almighty and glorious is He, and the strength of nearness, then become a physician to creatures, acting on behalf of the Lord of truth, almighty and glorious is He. Woe unto you! How can you touch and handle snakes, when you are not expert in the art of snake charming and have not taken the antidote to their poison? Blind, how can you treat people's eyes? Dumb, how can you teach people? Ignorant, how can you practice the religion, din? If someone is not a chamberlain, how can he conduct people to the king's door? You are ignorant of Allah, almighty and glorious is He, and of His power, His nearness and His way of governing, siyasha, His creatures. What is not reasonable for me and what is reasonable for you? What is not correct for me and what is correct for you? These are matters the explanation of which is known only to Allah, almighty and glorious is He. Hear and take note, for I am the herald of the King, the delegate nabe, of His messenger in your midst. The most brazen of creatures. On behalf of the religion din, I feel no inhibition toward you beside Allah, almighty and glorious is He, and beside His messenger, may Allah the exalted bless him and give him peace. I am their employee, a delabor ruzkari, at their disposal, a subordinate of theirs. This world is fleeting, transitory. It is the abode of disasters and misfortunes. It can offer no one a life free of care, especially if he is a wise man, hakim. As the saying goes, it offers no solace for the eye of the wise man, the eye of one who remembers death. If someone finds himself close up against a lion with its jaws wide open, how can he feel nice and cozy and drop off to sleep? O heedless ones, the grave has its jaws open wide. The lion of death and its serpent have their jaws open wide. The executioner of the Sultan of Destiny, Qadir, has his sword in his hand, as he awaits the command. Only 1 in a million has this kind of wisdom, hikmah, vigilant without a trace of negligence. In the initial stage of your career, you cannot do without some craft by which to make a living and earn your daily bread, while your faith is gaining strength. Then, if you keep this up and remain steadfast, the Lord of truth, almighty and glorious is He, will promote you to absolute trust, tawakkul, so that He feeds you without material means, sabab. O you who idolatrously associate His material means with Him, ya mushrik by sababihi. If only you could experience eating because of absolute trust, you would not be guilty of idolatrous association. You would sit at His door, trusting in Him and relying upon Him. As far as I am aware, there are only 2 ways of getting food and drink. Either through working to earn them, while observing the requirements of the sacred law, shar, or through absolute trust in the Lord. Woe unto you! Are you not embarrassed in the presence of Allah, almighty and glorious is He? You give up the effort to earn your living and you go begging from other people. Earning is a starting point and absolute trust is a final stage, so I do not see you having either a beginning or an end. I am telling you the truth and I can face you without embarrassment. Hear and take heed, and do not quarrel with the Lord of truth, almighty and glorious is He. No creature is more detached than I am from you and your possessions, from your praise and your blame. If I accept anything from you, I take it for the sake of others, not for my own sake. My speaking to you is a necessary shock. I am commanded to do it through a channel I am familiar with. I am certain of its validity. The decree of Allah, almighty and glorious is He, has no one to abrogate it or prevent it. Woe unto you! You must not be misled by the things people say. You are well aware of what you are involved in and what you need to do. As Allah, almighty and glorious is He, has said. Oh, but man is a telling witness against himself. 75:14. How fine you appear in the sight of the common folk, Awam, and how ugly you are in the eyes of the elite Kawas. O you who are so desirous of this world and take such pleasure in it, while laying claim to intelligence and accurate perception. Surely you have heard the words of your Lord, almighty and glorious is He. Know that the life of this world is only play, and idle talk, and pageantry. 57:20. Play and idle talk and pageantry are for ignorant youngsters, not for intelligent adults. He has let you know that they are for ignorant people who are mentally deficient. He has let you know that He did not create you for play. Anyone who is preoccupied with this world is merely playing games. Anyone who is satisfied with it, without regard for the hereafter, is satisfied with a nonentity. This world has nothing to offer you but snakes, scorpions and poisons, which you take with the hands of your lower selves, nufus, the passions, awiya, and carnal desire, shawa. You must devote your attention to the hereafter. Bring your hearts back to your Lord, almighty and glorious is He, and devote your attention to Him, then take what He offers you from the hand of His gracious favor. You must consider this world and the hereafter and weigh them in the balance. If you were to acquire knowledge, whatever knowledge you acquired, there would be more than that with me. My seed has ripened and blossomed, while your seed has sprouted only to shrivel up. Be sensible, leave your important position and come and sit over here, like a member of the group, Jama'ah, so that my words can be planted in the ground of your heart. If you had any sense, you would sit in my company and be satisfied with a morsel from me every day, while putting up with my rough way of speaking. All those who have faith, Iman, will take root and develop, while those who have no faith will run away from me,